So think for just a moment about what it was that brought you the purest joy in this really unbelievable year. Was it learning a new hobby? Maybe it was finding out that the family is growing. Maybe it's getting that organizing project done that you've been putting off for years now.
Well, for a neighborhood in Berlin, it's ducks. Yes, ducks.
Ducks. They've offered a sense of comfort in this chaos. Their story, through simple and sweet, does include moments of sadness, but it ends delightfully with a few folks having a little extra warmth for this holiday season. Here's No More Lives, Katie Zurilli.
Donnie and Darci the ducks swim synchronously in this backyard pond in a neighborhood in Berlin. A sight that may seem so simple has a story that starts back in April.
Hey, how are you?
When Victoria Muller's mother gifted her 2 ducklings on Easter. Victoria had always wanted farm animals, and this year the timing was right.
It just brought happiness. Every morning we sit with our coffees and our tea and we just sit and watch them. It gave us something to do when we were locked in quarantine. We spent a lot of time with them. They lived in the house with us in the beginning because it was like they were young. So it definitely just occupied our time and took our mind off of all the craziness.
Donnie, however, was not one of those ducks. Darci and Bam Bam moved into this home, and consequently, a whole lot of hearts.
All summer I fed them because there's all these wild strawberries that grow around our house, and I picked them out and then I would throw them in the pond and they would get them.
Every day I looked out my kitchen window and I saw these ducks, and it just became something I looked for every morning, every night after I got home. We'd sit out here on the weekends, they'd come up, they'd waddle over to us, they'd eat, they'd go back, they made us laugh. It was just the most consistent, positive thing we had going on.
WBOC's own husband and wife anchor team, Todd and Jacqueline Carley, live just a few doors down.
It sounds kind of silly because they're ducks, but when it's such a bright spot and they're so peaceful and they're funny and consistent and
your daughter falls in love.
And your daughter
that
falls in
doesn't hurt
love.
either.
Yes.
You know, yeah, when they would come up and feed, that's when you really get attached to them, and they come say hi and then waddle off back to the water.
The waddling, the quacking, the splashing, all of it filled the area with joy for months, until one fateful night a few weeks ago. While everyone was sleeping, the 2 were attacked by a vicious predator. The next morning, a scary scene.
We found Bam Bam on one side of the pond and Darci on the other, and we brought them into their house and, doctored them up as much as we could, and we thought they were going to be okay, but the next morning we checked on Bam Bam and he didn't make it. So Darci was devastated.
As was everyone else who'd become so invested in this duck duo.
She went looking, I think, for him for a long time. And she'd go out in the middle of the pond and wait. And then if nobody showed up to swim with her, she'd come hide over here in the corner.
It was awful. It was awful, I know. We cried like losing a dog. I mean, we've had them for 3, 4, 5 months, not forever, but it was definitely like losing a member of a family.
And so, 2 things became necessary. 1, Darci needed to be brought in every night at dusk to be kept safe. As it turns out, ducks won't voluntarily come out of the water, so the Mullers use this kayak to reel her in. And if the Mullers aren't home, well, that's where good neighbors come in.
With a little prodding,
Go get the duck,
Darci
Todd.
would not come back in by herself
Go, Darci,
to the pen.
Because the other duck
our
was owner
neighbors-
sort of led her back.
Yeah, so she would not, you do anything you can. I got my daughter out, our daughter out here, we give them both sides of the pond, anything. No, she's not coming back. So they had gotten the kayak, they have a kayak, and they would go out and make her come in with the kayak. And the funny thing is, the second you put the kayak in the water, off she goes. Across the pond, back into her pen.
So we volunteered kayak, or he volunteered kayaked a couple of times.
I was volunteered.
It's the least
kayak.
we could do.
Yeah, they
truly.
weren't home a couple days, so we went out. After what happened, you don't want the ducks out after night.
And as important as her safety was finding her some companionship.
We read that they're not supposed to be alone, so we knew we had to find her another friend.
After some searching and some potential partners that didn't pan out, the Mullers and their neighbors didn't lose hope. And along came Donnie.
He was better off in like a lake like this.
10-year-old Asher Nichols and his family live in town and have a bunch of farm animals. After hearing Darci's story, they knew they wanted Donnie to be here. And so, on a brisk Monday morning, with a snowflake or two falling down, the ducks met, and the friendship was instant.
First, he was kind of like nervous, like, what's going on? I'm confused. And then once we took him out, put him in there, he was like, yay, another friend.
But they definitely clicked very fast, and at first sight, I knew it was going to be okay.
If this year showed us anything, it's that connection is crucial. How delightful that it's the same for the ducks, too.
It's kind of easy to just start off a friendship sometimes.
And so, even while there's still so much uncertainty, these folks of different ages can count on this pair to bring the silly and the tender.
Sometimes they would duck their head down in the water and then just eat up the ground and then go poof, and then just spit it out.
Donnie is perfect. Bam Bam would be proud to have Donnie as a replacement, I think.
As you can see how well they take to each other, so.
Yeah, they swim
It's a
exactly.
good morning.
They swim. He looks just like Bam Bam, and they swim just like they did together. And to see them when they met, that was like instant karma. It was like a Christmas miracle.
A Christmas miracle without ribbons or bows, one that the folks in this neighborhood will hold close to their hearts for a very long time.
Darci and Don, it is amazing how something so simple can bring comfort in what's been going on lately.
Oh, absolutely. And I just love how that entire neighborhood just came together to make things right.
Right. Okay, you know, all of that warmth that you're feeling right now is going to continue a little bit later on when we introduce you to the fine folks who run Simmons Center Market in Cambridge. You'll see why this place is one that families add to their list of holiday traditions.